Bop, 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 bop. Hey guys, it is Matt. Welcome to another edition of Generator Live. And it's been a while since I've been sitting in this seat. It's been quite a bit. Took some personal time off, but now we are back at it. And I'm super excited today because we're talking with someone that I've gotten to know over the past many months and is in kind of the same position that I'm in, which is former corporate. We've gotten a little bit older. We're trying to figure out what comes next because we're not done yet. And here we are doing all of this live streaming and video and pivoting and changing directions and just trying to figure out the next decade in a world where everything's coming at us really fast. So, what I want to do is not give you a lengthy intro, but I want to bring on a new friend of mine. His name is Jörg Kampers. How are you, my friend?
I'm excellent. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, my
Greetings
pleasure.
from over the pond.
Yeah, so you're in Germany, and now I've only been over there once or twice, and was basically in the Nuremberg area. And so you are in a little spa town. Is that correct? Like, can you give me an idea of where you are in Germany?
Yes, I'm living in Bad Pyrmont, which is a small spa town about an hour out of Hanover.
Got it.
So it's a sleepy town,
Yeah.
20,000 people, a lot of spa, a lot of hospitals.
It sounds perfect. In springtime in Germany, spring, summer, it must be beautiful. Do you get a lot of tourists and vacationers there, or is it retirees? Is it just people on holiday?
We got a lot of tourists actually because it has one of the most beautiful spa parks, flower parks, palm tree park in Germany.
Hmm.
But the locals here say you come to Bad Pyrmont if you want to die.
Oh, all right. I don't know if I'd put that on a bumper sticker, but I guess that works for marketing. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Now,
Yeah.
now, if I understand your story correctly, it kind of parallels mine insofar as you spent a lot of years. You spent more time than I did. You spent 35 some odd years in corporate with Dell and Commodore, right? There are several companies in there. Can you give me a background of where you started? Because we're going to get into why you shifted into, Silver Streamer and what you're doing now. But let's go back a little bit and talk about your career and how that started to progress into what you're doing now.
I studied physics, and during university, I was working as a promoter for Commodore computers. So it was basically selling the Amiga 500 in the big stores. And then that turned into a training position. So they asked me to train the resellers. And then after a while, they asked me, how long are you still in university? When are you finishing? We would like to meet you in Frankfurt. So I became the product manager for the Amiga 2000 and later on for the first PCs of Commodore. And so that's my starting point. So I was always in computer and technology. I'm a gadget guy, definitely. And I was always on the latest frontier of technology. So when it came down to PCs, I was there. Then the first networks like novel networks with coax cables. Then later on, host connectivity, continuing on to Dell computers selling to the large corporations like UPS, etc. And then I was going on and on in the network space. And at the end, I was working for CommScope the
Mhm.
last couple of years in the Wi-Fi space and 5G space. And yeah, we had a break after that at the end of last year when the company got sold.
Mm.
So by then I was thinking, what are you going to do? I'm 62 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as your age has a 6 in the front, in Germany, it's very difficult to find another corporate job.
I bet, yeah.
And although I call myself a digital native in the body of a boomer, I'm still not, let's say, ready for retirement.
Yeah.
Because especially when I look on my, let's say, pension plan expectation sheet, what you get every year from your local social security and pension plan, it's not enough to maintain my lifestyle I'm currently having. So I was thinking, what are you going to do? And I figured out that there is a lot of, let's say, boomers going into retirement in the next 5 years, 6 years. And they all are either having their own company or have worked in corporate for, let's say, 30, 40 years, or are still self-employed. And I was putting a toe in the water regarding succession consultancy for SMB markets. And the SMB market in Germany is, there are about 600,000 companies looking for a successor at the moment.
Wow.
200,000 of those have already found somebody who's taken over the company and the employees. Mm-hmm. Another 200,000 is still in the process. And the last 200-something thousand has already decided to shut down the company and give up the workspace, the workplace and the employment and so on and so on. So I thought you have to do something about it. So I'm reaching out to industry organizations and discuss with them how to get those companies who are still looking for a successor, how to prepare basically to make their company more attractive and to attract other investors or somebody to take over that business, and basically also the employees. But at the same time, I got the idea about thinking and planning, what do I want to do? So I did my own ikigai analysis. What is in my veins? What do I want to do? What is my passion? Mm-hmm. And I'd like to combine technology with online presenting and teaching people and so on and so on. So that's when I got to the point and basically came to the idea as a returning e-cammer that this would be a good opportunity to start something like a Silver Streamer Academy. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I was looking into YouTube, doing or reading some reports and seeing that our generation, the baby boomers and the late Xers, are the most growing creator community within YouTube. And interestingly enough, their main audience are the Gen Z people. Because they are looking for authenticity, for the experience, and for the wisdom of us, of our generation. So I got the idea and started silverstreamer.life. And I launched my YouTube channel just about 4 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And already have about 35 videos and a couple, maybe a dozen shorts and a couple of live streams online. I got a few subscribers there. Mm-hmm. I started a Substack with silverstreamer.substack.com. I have also a few subscribers there. And then I was going into Ecamm Life Academy, and I was going to the Creator Camp in the UK. I was on the Tube Fest in Birmingham and started building up my network. So
It's really been interesting watching you emerge, right? Because I've seen you. We attend a lot of the same eCam webinars and the office hours where we're helping other people learn how to use this software and get good at presenting and being online and live streaming and not overthinking it at all. And I remember when I first started seeing you on those calls, and you were quiet, right? You're very reserved, kind of conservative guy. And I just watched you take everything in, and then you were using it to build. You were taking the actual action to do something with it. And in that short period of time, I've seen you outpace almost everybody in terms of creation and putting things out there. And it just speaks to, when you put your mind to it, how quickly you can move in this space. And it doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be something that only Gen Z or Gen Alpha does. It's something that people in our generation can really work with. And we're going to explore a lot of that. But I wanted to go back a little bit because you had mentioned there were, these 200,000 companies that were looking for a successor. Now, I also studied physics, and then I was in mergers and acquisitions in corporate, and we'd buy a lot of companies. And I dealt with a lot of European companies, a lot of Asia Pacific companies. And we'd oftentimes, when we'd purchase a company, have some redundancy, right? And we'd have to figure out ways to let some people go. And the way that corporate is, it tends to be the older folks, 45 plus, right? Whatever law will allow. And you find that they are then back in the workforce and don't have anywhere to go. Same thing in the United States, right? Anytime you're over 45 or 50, your options are very, very limited in the white collar space, corporate space. So, seeing that all of these folks now are jobless or maybe out of a job at some point soon, everyone's kind of in that same spot. I'm not done yet. I'm not old and decrepit. I want to keep going. So they go online and they say, I can do that. I can merge my hobbies with video. So I want to hear a little bit more about, where did you find a point towards the end of your corporate career where you were just not feeling it anymore, and this was always something in the back of your mind, like, oh, I want to play with technology, I want to utilize that, right? When you were doing your ikigai, right? What am I interested in? What am I passionate about? But did you think it would manifest like this? And do you have a plan other than, I like to play with my toys? Like, as you build this out, is there a comprehensive plan of goals of where you want to be? Because right now I'm just playing with toys.
that's true. And when especially last year, I was struggling with the corporate situation because the company has changed a lot. We got new management in summer of 24. My old boss was basically mobbed out, and the overall culture and let's say management behavior towards the employees got really awful. And we were all treated like the youngsters coming from university or high school and so on. Micromanagement from the top level down to everything. And I was just saying, I don't want this.
Yeah.
This is not the way how I'd like to work. And especially with my experience. And I mean, I have been general manager of the German GmbH or LLC in the US,
Yeah.
things like that. I've worked overseas. I was in the US more than 50 times. I have worked in the Emirates and so on. And then getting treated like a fresh guy, fresh from university, that was definitely not my thing. And but at the same point, as I said earlier, until I hit 60, it wasn't difficult to find a new corporate job. And but once you have the six at your age, it doesn't work anymore, and you need to do something. And on one hand, succession consultancy is interesting, but it's a long, let's say, long-term sales cycle and a long-term engagement, and it takes a long way to win the owner, that you can help him and create a let's say a company which you can't hand over to a new management or to a new owner. The problem here in Germany especially is you have a lot of these smaller manufacturing companies with an old tradition, maybe 75, 100, 125, 150 years old. And the owner typically is something between 65 and 75 before he wants to let go.
Mm.
And I'm also doing a small podcast called Tradition and Future, where I have basically owners or general managers of those kind of companies, which I interview and ask him about their succession process.
Right.
What hurdles they have to overcome, what, let's say, problems they have seen, what were the good things they experienced, what were the ugly things they experienced, and so on. And it was very interesting because you at the moment you can see the typical old traditional succession within the family isn't working anymore.
Right.
Because the current owner holds on until it's almost too late. And in the meantime, his kids are something like mid-40s up to mid-50s. They have an own career. They have probably established their own company and have their own responsibilities. They're not willing to take over. So, and at the same time, what you just rightfully said, we are in a different generation. My father, when he retired, he was, let's say, basically too old to take something new. Mm-hmm. But we are now in a situation, luckily, that we get older. And I remember when my father retired, he was basically old, but at the same time, he was about my age. And nowadays, we are still energetic, motivated. We want to do something else. We have another maybe 20 years to work if we want to. And that's something where I said, okay, I not only want to supplement my pension, but I also want to have fun and engage with people of my age and teach them how to do. Yeah. And technology-wise, I have a very similar background than you, and I was surprised to hear that you studied physics as well. Yeah. But I'm photographer by heart. I started photography in the age of 7.
Wow.
And I was a semi-professional photographer until the last 5 years, where I did business headshots, mm-hmm. weddings, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I have the knowledge about cameras, mm-hmm. lenses, light, sound, all you need for eCam and for live streaming and for YouTube. I started a YouTube channel in 2016 about camping. So I was presenting RVs and campers, yeah. doing guided tours through the brand new models. And I grew it within 6 months to monetization. It was pretty quick at that time. But then I got another corporate gig and I basically fall apart. But and now I have the energy and the motivation to really bring that forward and to make it successful. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I love this because I keep hearing, right, this mix of the things that you're fluent with, the technology, the experience, right? And there's no way to quantify how much experience you get in the technology industry in 35 years. There's just no way to explain all the things that you've seen given the last 3 or 4 decades of technology. I mean, when you're starting with the Commodore computers, which I remember as a kid growing up and using, to now AI and robots being everything, you've seen it all, right? And so you have a wealth of knowledge that younger generations just don't have. And you also, through that, have all of this experience that you can bring to people our age. And the thing that I love about that is that you've been through it all and you're able to translate and say, no, you want to sell RVs? Here's a video component that you can use. Here's how you do that. You want to, do photography, right? I've got experience doing that too. And you can show people through your experience what works and what doesn't. So I love the fact that you're an immediate subject matter expert, even though you continue to learn along the way. And while we're sitting here and I'm watching all of these comments come flying through, I wanted to bring some of them up and show you because I think we're kind of striking a nerve with this conversation. So let me see if I can do something fancy here and bring some of these in. And we've got quite a lot of people in here. Voz is saying hello, and Neil Faramond, who is fantastic, he's saying hello, and Alec Johnson is in here. I think that's Alec. And then Voz was talking about Germany. He says it looks like a lovely community. Bring him on over, but hopefully Voz will stick around. He's not one of those people I want to go to Germany and go to Bad Pyrmont to die. And then Paul Fath is checking in. He's saying hello. But one of the things that the Ecamm fam is saying, they're hanging out. We can't wait to see what George will bring to the Ecamm fam. And this is like you're so embraced by the community because of how deep you dive in, and I love this. They also say that the Gen Z people trust the experience. And I'm seeing the same thing, right? You get a lot of pushback, at least I do, a lot of pushback from the millennials, which is kind of like one generation down. And they're saying, what do you know? We know more than you. But now Gen Z and Gen Alpha are saying, listen, we'd like to listen to the elders a little bit and understand some of the pitfalls so that we don't fall into it. Jill is here saying, I can't wait to collaborate with both of you amazing human beings. She's so fantastic. I love Jill. And she's also saying the conversation I had with George at Creator Camp UK was incredibly energizing to me. What was that conversation about? What was it that Jill and you were talking about that got her so wound up?
We were talking about my idea with the silver streamers. Yeah. And that I really want to start something like an Ecamm Silver Streamer Academy, something like that.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue our conversation just in a couple of days. But that's what I mean, Jill is fantastic. She has so much energy, and she is so funny. I mean, she's really, really good. And the whole Ecamm team is amazing. I mean, it was such a pleasure for me to meet them all at Creator Camp UK, and then continue on TubeFest and so on. You can really feel the family aspect of that community, and I think the biggest quality and the biggest asset from Ecamm is the family, the community. I mean, you can jump on Facebook and ask any question. You will get a response within a couple of minutes or hours, and that's fantastic. Being in the office hours once a week, that's also a lot of help. I was in ELA with Adrian and Valerie, and she actually jumped on a call after one of our teaching sessions and sorted my audio problems. And I mean, where do you find that? You don't find that with OBS or other tools. Yeah, you're left alone. You have to dig into YouTube and try to figure it out.
And
Yeah,
it's so true.
and that's
Like,
something.
I'm sorry, continue, finish up.
Yeah, what I see is, what I see is, what I noticed over the last couple of weeks and months is that we have a growing number of elderly or older creators jumping on Ecamm. And all of them are very, very knowledgeable, very experienced, and some need some advice and a little hands-on to get their things sorted.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy to help. Yeah. I really want to help Ecamm as well to grow that part of the community, that part of their clients.
It's something that I'm seeing as well on a lot of these calls is that and for those of you that are listening that don't know, as we kind of talk inside about the Ecamm fam, Ecamm, the software that I'm using to produce this show right now, and that George uses for all his work. Amazing software. It's a production studio on your Mac, right? And it's wonderful. But the better part of the software, sure, it works great, but it's the community around it that really makes the software what it is. Because, like you said, you can go into the Facebook forum and ask a question, and you're going to get a helpful answer. You don't get a lot of people that are trolling you saying, that's a stupid question, you shouldn't be, using Ecamm. It's a very helpful community. And I think until you experience how welcoming it is and how supportive it is, especially for people that are just getting into this stuff, you don't know what
Mm-hmm.
you're missing. So I just implore everybody that's listening, check it out. Do a free 10-day trial. I'm not even going to link my affiliate stuff. Just go out there and try it, and you'll see just how easy it is to do this sort of stuff. Live stream, record, make content, vertical, horizontal, by using Ecamm. All right, my plugs are over. But one of the things that you said in there, as I see everybody showing up on these calls, on these Zooms, and it tends to be a few more gray hairs, right, these days on most of the people that are in there, I'm finding the passion is great. But that's a small subset of folks that want to dive in. There is a larger part
Mm-hmm.
of our age group and our demographic that are terrified of doing anything live or doing anything video related. I don't know how to use the computer. I can't do that. That's way too complicated for me. I know you tell people that tech is the easy part and that courage in showing up is the hard part. When did you realize that that was the order that those two things came in, right? Where you had to have the courage just as much as the technology?
It's not always like that. My wife is a psychologist, and she used to do psychology games with her clients to help them overcome certain insecurities and deep dive into their mind and into their feelings and so on. And it's easier for most of the people doing that playing a game, using some card games or whatever, and then get through that gaming process, finding their problems and finding a way how to articulate them. So my wife is Ukrainian. We met each other because of the war.
Mm-hmm.
Because when the war broke out, I gave a family of 5 shelter at my home.
Wow.
And that's how I met, or how I got to know the Ukrainian mentality, culture, the way how they are, and so on. And that's how I met my wife at the end.
Wow.
And she now is 4 years in Germany, and she now wants to restart her business. And she has a wide experience on psychology. And she is a singer, a professional piano player, and so on and so on. But she has no clue about computers. She knows how to operate her mobile phone. She knows how to operate her tablet, her iPad. But that's it. And now she needs to learn how to do an Instagram channel, how to do reels, how to do stories, and so on and so on. And that's exactly the point where most of our generation are, who are not like we from technology, but they are passionate about what they do, what they love, and what they want to continue to do. And now they need to learn the technical piece. And that's something we can train them.
Right.
And Apple products, especially Macs and the Mac OS, are way easier to use than a Windows operating system.
Agreed.
And so is Ecamm. Ecamm makes things easier. And what I'm trying to build now is something like a basic set of, let's say, a starter kit, where you say, okay, I teach you how to use that stuff. And here you get the first 5 scenes, which will cover you for the first, let's say, 6 months. And during the usage of those scenes, you can start to develop your own scenes and get comfortable with the software and so on and so on. One step after the other. Don't get, let's say, overwhelmed by the technology. My first videos have been, don't think about an expensive camera or expensive microphone gear and so on. Take your mobile. It's probably the best camera you have in your house at the moment.
Most likely, yeah.
Yes. And then the next thing is, take some microphones. Yeah. Get a fancy wireless microphone. Yeah. And use that for the start. And then you get some lights and so on and so on. You can build a YouTube studio for less than $100.
Agreed.
For the beginning. And then you just need to push record and get it done. And that's what I told my wife as well. Don't think about all this, how do I look on the video and so on. Yes, you take a little bit of makeup because you like it. Okay, good. But then just push the red button and take 4, 5, 6 videos and then look at it, delete it, do it again. And start practicing. And once you are comfortable with talking to a piece of metal and a piece of glass, then start producing your first video. Forget about the metal you have there. Think about your best friend, your children, and then think about you're talking to your best friend or your son or your daughter, and then tell your story. Go ahead. And it's interesting to see how those channels in YouTube are currently, let's say, not only starting, but also explosively growing. I mean, I've had a lady from the US, Leanne. She was fired in February. And when she went back to the office, got her stuff, she had a microphone and a mobile in the car and was taking the first YouTube video in the beginning of or middle of February. By now, she has 25,000 subscribers. And we are in May.
What am I doing wrong?
This is insane.
You know, I think there's something.
And there are other guys. I had a guy from the US. He started his YouTube channel in the age of 80.
Wow.
And he's doing this for a year now, and he has also about 10,000 subscribers right now.
It's fascinating to me how quickly things catch on. And if you go on YouTube or social media of any sort, there's always someone saying, use this method, use this method. Whatever you're doing is wrong. You have to do it like this. You have to have a hook. And it gets so overwhelming for most people, right? We hear it all, and it's so confusing, and we can't really find anything that just feels right. So rather than be uncomfortable, we just don't do the thing at all. So you're working with people that have made the decision to say, you know what, I am going to brave this anyway. I am going to start this. But I'm sure when they start, there is a common thing that you see in every one of them, whether it's a lie that they're telling themselves or whether it's some mannerism or some habit that they have that they feel like they can't get over. Is there something common that you see with people that is stopping them from starting?
Yes. What do the others think about it? My old colleagues, my kids, my family.
Right.
What do they think about it? Why are you doing this? Why are you going on YouTube with these stories, which should be ours, or which should be who is interested in that? That's one of the common questions people get. Who want to see that, what you're talking about? Yeah, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
There was another example. There's an old couple, I think they are about 70, and Doc told about that, Doc Rock, in Azerbaijan. That's a farmer's family. And they have a camera going on the whole day while she is cooking and he's doing the vegetables and the fruits and so on. And they have a ton of viewers online who are looking the live stream, and these are young people. And that's something which is going to change. I wonder how the whole YouTube will develop, because with the verge of AI, we see a couple of things going on at the moment. One is we saw a ton of AI slob, like AI avatars, AI created stupid, funny videos, and so on and so on. And people don't want to. Some people do, but most of them don't want to see that. They want to see the authentic people like us.
Right.
First of all. Second development is Google just introduced into YouTube a search feature where you can basically put your question in, and the result will only be a clip out of your video. And I was questioning myself, or asking the question myself, how much does that have an impact on my view time?
Yeah.
Because people just get the clip and will not watch the whole video. So what is this going to change in the industry for us as a creator? And then on the other hand, I mean, with AI, I mean, I jumped into AI. No, let me step back a little bit. I got my first OpenAI ChatGPT account in the end of 22. So very, very early.
Yeah, me too.
But I never touched it. I started with AI seriously in fall of 24. Fall of 24. And now I'm giving AI classes. I write books about AI. I have a magazine, a German magazine, where I just printed an article in there. I have a paid Notebook LM class I'm giving there. I'm using... I switched to Claude just about 2 weeks ago, and I'm already doing Claude Code in the terminal. And using Claude for a ton of stuff, for helping me to do content creation. Like doing analysis of my channels, doing analysis of other channels which are doing well. So what is the secret sauce?
Yeah.
What do they do better than I do? And I'm a beginner here, so to speak, but that gives you a jump start.
Yeah.
And I met in ELA, Ecam Life Academy with Adrian. I met a lady from Ohio, Ramona. She's, I think, over 70,
Mm-hmm.
and she just started a new channel. Yeah, the Tech Detective, and she's such a lovely lady. And she is so experienced, and she also has a tech background. She used to do WordPress consultancy and things like that. But she is so into AI and content creation and explaining also elderly people how to use AI. And I think that's brilliant. That's brilliant. It gives her life purpose. And that's something we also have to think about. When you are a boomer going into retirement, you have lost one main component of your life, one meaningful component of your life, your job.
Mm-hmm.
And now you are in retirement and you're thinking, what am I going to do with my free time?
Yeah.
What is happening to my experience? What is happening to the stories I was telling my colleagues and the funny things and so on and so on? And helping them to become a content creator, regardless if it's YouTube, Instagram, whatever, gives their lives purpose. And it probably extends their life.
There's something to be said for that. I think, I watched my dad retire after 50 years of teaching. And he was not an online guy in any way, shape, or form. But I wonder what would have come if he had, when he retired from education, if he had begun transitioning to just teaching online, because that was his passion. That's what he lived for, right? Instead of just sitting around and watching the birds. And that's all fine, right? You've earned your right to sit and watch birds. But there's something that keeps us going, right? We want to contribute. We want to help the tribe. We want to help the people around us. And it feels day to day like there's this ever increasing pressure, like you have to perform at this level and this level and this level. And it's not the case. Even with AI or any technology, it can either be extraordinarily overwhelming, or it can be something that you approach like, "Ooh, I'm going to learn this new hobby." And I think there's a disconnect where people feel like they have to be an instant expert at something instead of learning it and enjoying it and figuring out what works. And so the fact that you're able to teach AI and that you're able to teach this technology, are you seeing? I have two questions here. One, the first is probably an easy one. Is there a difference in culture between Germans and Americans when it comes to this stuff in this demographic? Or are we all just humans and we get hung up on the same things? And then secondarily, as you teach people, what are you seeing them unlock in themselves? Do they become more passionate? Do they become educators themselves? How are you seeing people transform as they start to do this at an older age?
So first of all, looking over the pond, I think we're very similar at the age group.
Mm-hmm.
And we have some we have some cultural things over here in Europe. When I go into a training class for AI, and then it's typically in a small medium business, the first question here is, how about data protection?
Oh, sure.
How secure is my personal data?
Yeah.
And that's a European thing.
Yeah.
That basically, yes, That's definitely a European thing, and that's what I call the German or European mimimi. You know if what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah, I do.
So, and it has less to do about data protection. It has more to do about change,
Mm-mm.
because what most people don't understand is how much AI and robotics will change our general life over the course of the next 5 years. Nobody has grasped the impact that technology will have on us. And especially in Europe. I mean, Germany is so far behind in terms of transformation, digitalization, and AI. It's shocking.
Mm.
And the interesting thing is, I just read a study. 28.6% of Americans use AI on a regular basis. 28.3% of Germans use AI on a regular basis. So that tells a lot.
Yeah.
Coming back to the teaching question, when usually people use AI like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and so on as an advanced Google service.
Yeah.
That's the first step. When you teach them how to prompt and how they can improve the outcome of AI, then they start to pick up.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to the industry trade organization of Hannover, to the manager of the transformation department. And that is just 3 months ago, and he still was talking about AI as a stochastic, what's the English word for, damn it, I miss one word. In German, it's Papagei, so I don't know what is it in English. Damn it, missed that word. Doesn't matter. So they still think it's a stochastic bird, let's take it that way, which is just repeating what you put in.
Sure.
And that is no longer the case. I mean, last year it was, now it isn't. And if you train people the right way, not only about AI, but also about becoming a content creator, they will change their behavior and become more and more successful and more self-confident, and start to lose the nervousness and the, let's say, being afraid of talking to a piece of metal.
Yeah, it takes practice to stare into a lens and talk to whoever's on the other side. You know, one of the things that I did when I first started doing more video, more live streaming, was I put a picture up of a friend of mine, put her right next to the lens, just off, right? So that the eyesight wasn't too off, but it just gave me that sense of security, that sense of there's someone there that I can talk to. And it immediately made everything that much easier. So listening to what you're saying, I think it's clear that you've got so much passion and that you've kind of found your lane right now. Do you feel like this is what you're meant to do now? And is there any thought that this is what I should have been doing all along? Or how do you reconcile that? You know what I mean? Like, I think about it, I'm like, man, if I started podcasting in 99, if I just kept with it, man, I'd be Joe Rogan at this point, right? But that didn't happen. As you're now exploding in this world of video, is there any sort of emotional change that you felt as you do this from, you know, what your life was like previously?
To be honest, I regret that I stopped doing the first attempt in 21.
Mm.
I would be probably way ahead of where I'm now. On the other hand, I have had the experience with the previous YouTube channel. I still know the guys because Ecamm hasn't changed a lot, not product-wise, but people-wise. So the main actors are still there. And what I figured out that Ecamm in Germany has been abandoned by the creators there who used to do frequently videos about Ecamm.
Mm-hmm.
They are now solely going after web creations or AI.
Yeah.
And there is no German content creator who takes it seriously on in German language to promote Ecamm. So that's sort of a niche I want to to take.
Absolutely.
But on the other hand, I think with all that experience over the past 5-6 years, I'm well prepared to continue my journey. I would love to do that. So I'm really focused on building the Silver Streamer content and the story in German and English. I don't care. So I'm pushing for that.
I love that. And we've got a couple more comments because I could see you clearly becoming, Germany's foremost Ecamm expert and, just opening up all new territories for yourself. I'm sure Ken and Glenn would love that. So a couple of things, Voz is in here and he's saying so many in the vintage generation, I love that vintage generation, have a vast experiential knowledge and skill base, but are hampered with the technology deficit. And I agree with that. I think there's the habits that we create, right? Those of us that remember the world before all the technology, that we were building our habits, and now all of this technology, as fast as it's coming, is a lot of change really fast. And unless you're someone that likes to embrace that change, it can feel very overwhelming. But Voz is one of these guys as well that's in there every day, and he's learning and he's trying. But he does say that there is an issue with being overwhelmed by all the technology and the integrations. And yes, it can become very overwhelming when you're trying to look at it all at once, which I think is what a lot of people do. I have to be an expert at everything instead of just picking one piece, learning it, picking one piece, learning it. Where do you sit with that as people are learning? Do you feel like they try to do too much too fast and overwhelm themselves?
Yes.
Or is that what it is?
Yes, exactly. What I'm trying to do now, and that's part of my journey in the next 2-3 weeks. I'm actually starting to create videos where I show people how to plug in a camera into the Mac, how to plug in a microphone into the Mac, and really hands-on videos how to start your studio. Like, here's your mobile phone. Here, this is the way how you connect it. Or if you have already a system camera, then just here is the way how to plug it in. Explain people hands-on how to do it. And I think this is missing so far. For all the videos I've seen, this is completely missing. And as much as I adore Doc and his videos, I mean, he has so much content to tell, and I picked up so much stuff from him in the past couple of weeks. And thank you for that, Doc, if you see that later or if you're just on the call. But it could be overwhelming for people who are just starting new.
Yeah.
And I think what we are lacking at the Ecamm community at the moment is not only how to set up. No, that's what we perfectly do. Jill has done perfect videos now with the new version, how to set up Ecamm, how to produce overlays, scenes, and so on and so on. But what we are lacking is the basic videos. how to set up your Mac, how to get Ecamm installed, how to connect a microphone, how to connect a camera, helping people on the very basic level to get things done.
I think that's a huge point that stops a lot of people. And what I mean by stopping a lot of people is they feel like, well, YouTube already has 100 videos about that. I don't want to make a video about that because then no one's going to watch it, or it might be wrong. Or I look at everything like that. That's the easiest thing you can do to learn this process. Take something that you know inside and out and just do a video on that. Here's how you take a wireless mouse and turn it on. Here's how you put batteries in it. And like little things like that, you would be surprised people don't know how to do. And you doing it in a way that brings in your experience and your way of explaining things is a needed voice. No matter who you are or what you know, there's someone out there that is going to find the video and say, thank God that they made that video, because I was searching and I was getting confused by all these other ones, or, I had to sift through 4,000 Doc Rock videos to find what I needed. But I found George and he explains things very well. That's how you get used to building content. And, I love the fact that you are bringing people down to the fundamentals, because you and I know when we're on these weekly calls assisting people that sometimes they don't have the foundation to their question. They're jumping 2 and 3 steps ahead because not because they're doing anything wrong. They just haven't thought about it in a way that breaks down the fundamentals, right? And why isn't Ecamm doing these 3 things? Well, it's not built to do that. Why doesn't my car cook me dinner? It's not built to do that, right? So I think what you're saying in the videos that you're creating are so necessary, right? And people might be saying, you have to learn how to connect a microphone. Yeah, you absolutely do at some point. So I love that. And that you're this bridge between 2 generations, right? So the 2 generations, we tend to talk past each other, right? The young ones are like, those are old people. We're not going to talk to them. And the old ones are just like, these youngins don't know anything and we're never going to get through to them.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to talk on both sides. What do you think the younger generation gets wrong about the older generation?
That's a good question. I think when I look at my kids, they are now 22 and 20.
Mm-hmm.
They over or underestimate the capabilities and experience of the elders. And on the other hand, when I look into my older one, he's just finishing his apprenticeship as a IT system engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he can tell me anything about setting up a server, putting it into a 19-inch rack and connect it to the main switch and so on and so on. But when it comes down to build a PC from scratch, buying a motherboard, putting in the Molex connectors, firing up an SSD, and so on and so on and so on, he wasn't able to do that until I taught him. And I think there is a lot we can learn from each other. And that's something the younger generation is underestimating. We have a vast amount of life experience. We have gone through crises and good times and job experiences which they haven't seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
And and coming back to AI, what I'm really concerned about is how AI will change their jobs. kids who are now in high school will do jobs which are not existing at the moment. And they're getting nervous because they haven't seen crisis. And that's something we, as the boomer generation, we have seen a lot of crises. I mean, we have experienced COVID and financial breakdowns and so on and so on. Economy crashing, housing crisis, and so on and so on. We have overcome that. We know how to act, how to react, and what to do at that moment, how to survive, how to get up. That's something the kids are missing because they have been spoiled and pampered. I mean,
And you're not wrong, right? And you know, I lost my job in 2010 only because the 2008 crisis started. And, you know, over the period of 2 years, just everyone was losing their job. That set me on a whole new career path, right? In photography and in video. And it's a perfect example of, yeah, we're going to hit these real hard times, but you just grab your pants, you pull them up, and you keep moving forward because that's really all that we can do. I like what you were saying about AI in that we don't know what's coming and we don't know what jobs are going to be replaced and we don't know what that future looks like. Are you seeing what I'm seeing here in the States, which is pulling back, 18-year-olds as they come out of high school and are thinking about university, that there are less kids going into university and more going into the trades, electrical, plumbing, construction, right? Into trades that are secure that AI will never be able to replace. Are you seeing any shift like that, or at least an eye towards, hey, there might be AI, but we can also make wonderful livings, you know, putting in electrical panels, right? Because we need data centers and we need compute and we need all of that. Someone's got to plug it in somewhere. So are you seeing any concern about trades, or are kids starting to pick up trades in addition to learning all of the digital technology?
No, not
No.
yet. Our kids going to university and starting a study there. There is a huge demand on the trade side. They're looking for young people to become a plumber, electrician, and so on and so on. And there's a massive demand. So you have waiting times for a electrician, plumber, and so on, sometimes over weeks to get somebody fix something or install something new. And I think there is something like more than 500,000 of empty apprenticeships every year because people are preferring to go to university and study something stupid like becoming a lawyer. And then after 6 years, they figure out, now I'm eligible to become a lawyer, but there is no job for me.
Right.
So then they start looking around as a highly educated plumber or things like that.
They're asking ChatGPT, my law degree doesn't mean anything. What do I do now? And they said, pick up a hammer, you know? That's funny.
Yeah, exactly.
So
now, what concerns me the most is at the moment is the speed of development.
Yeah.
How those things are. It is exponential growth in AI, and people are not expecting how fast that will take over our business world.
I agree. I'm going to go back to the comments because we've got quite a few coming in. So Even the educational marketplace is seeing enrollment cliff and developing accelerated online asynchronous programs. Employers have voiced dissent, especially, I'll read the rest of it, especially in STEM programs. So science, technology, engineering, math. Um, Employers have voiced dissent, especially in STEM programs. I'll bring that back up. What are your thoughts about this? Seeing the education marketplace changing into more online education and asynchronous education.
Sort of true. Not so much in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
That's something where we are behind in Europe. I mean, we have some very good remote universities, remote education things, but as long as you have, for instance, as long as you are not allowed to use AI in schools,
Mm-hmm.
even as a teacher, I mean, that's something which is really astounding. I mean, the German education system is out of bounds anyways.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of misalignment with the reality. And if you look, for instance, into Estonia, where they start teaching kids at basic school how to use ChatGPT,
Mm-hmm.
and in Germany at the high school, they prohibit use of AI in school. It's completely out of bounds.
Yeah, it's really interesting, right? Because you can argue it from both sides. You can say, hey, we don't want to use AI in schools because we want kids to be able to think critically and not rely on some of the tools. I can see that argument. Then there's the other argument, which is this technology isn't going anywhere. And if you don't learn to use it and internalize it when you're younger, then you're only going to be left further and further behind. So I can kind of see both. But what I find, and it's same here in the States, is that it's silly to look at it as an extreme on one end or the other. I think the critical thinking has to be taught, right? It's worked pretty well for a couple thousand years. But the reliance on AI is being touted as this is going to solve everything. And it's not. It can't change a tire on your car. It can't fix a leaky faucet, right? It might tell you the things to do, but you still have to know how to do some of these things and diagnose problems. So I think you're right. The education system, whether it's the Germans or the Americans, I think we're all a little bit off because we're trying to figure it out as we go, right? And the people in power are figuring it out as they go, and they're trying to get voted back into whatever position they have and keep their job. It's a mess out there right now. And all I can do is say, how do we help each other, right? How do we help our kids? How do we help our parents learn this stuff? And this is, I'm bringing it kind of all full circle back to what it is that you're doing, because you saw this gap in education amongst our generation of saying, listen, life isn't over because you retired or because you lost your job. It doesn't mean that things have to end and you retire to a small spa town and you just wait for your time to run out. I think it's, how do we help those around us? So I wanted to give people a little bit of a preview of what it is that you've built, because while we have the German version, and I will switch it to the English version, and we'll go back and forth, is your silverstreamer.live, right? This is your website. Tell me a little bit about, when people go here, what they're going to find.
It is basically a landing page where I give them the basic information, what they can expect from me. So I'm here to help you become a successful content creator. I created pre-programmed gems, for instance, for Gemini, where you can just click a link, and then it starts interviewing you about your passion, about your experience, and so on and so on. And it develops together with you the content niche you could serve, for instance. I'm also have linked into the website a channel analyzer. I've seen that during one of my educational gigs where I was joining for a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the idea to have basically an AI tool where you put in your channel URL and it gives you feedback about how your channel is looking to a professional AI analyst.
I love
What
that.
could you improve? Where you need to change things, and so on and so on. Gives you guidelines, and that's what I'm putting in here. So I'm telling people basically about the basics, how to become a content creator together with Ecamm and YouTube, for instance.
I really do love one. I love the fact that you came up with that tool, right? Because it's something that a lot of us never think about. We're like, all right, we put the stuff out there. That was enough for the day. And we forget to follow up on the channel, see how it's doing, see how we can improve, right? Because for some people, it's just fun. I just want to put videos out there. And then for other people, it's the means to a business. And you want to treat it like a business and understand how your performance is. Where can you make improvements? Where can things get better? Where do things need to be rearranged a little bit? And I love that you have a tool like that ready to go for people. That's fantastic. Have you seen the people that you're working with? Are you getting more ideas from their questions? Like that, the more you learn from them, are you incorporating that right back into the site so that
Yes.
more people can learn from the questions that
Yes.
we all have? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something from my trainings, from my questions I receive from live streams and so on. I'm getting ideas for videos, for changes in the landing page. I'm writing Substacks about that, and publish some written content as well. Yes, and I think the important thing is really to learn from your audience.
Mm-hmm.
What are their needs? What are their requirements? And it's a journey, yes. And we can learn from each other.
I agree. I think this has been. I didn't know a lot of this about you. I just saw you as a guy showing up at a lot of these office hours, and I was like, wow, he's really like on point with a lot of this. And I know that you've spent time with the Ecamm fam in Europe, and learning about what you have going on has just turned on so many ideas in my head about what every generation can do, right? And how our approach is towards some of this technology. And it's been sitting in the back of my head this entire interview that you are someone that is very passionate about helping the people close to you and just growing those circles further and further out. Where a lot of people want that instant big fame. I want to be known by thousands of people and have the biggest audience. And that's not really where it feels like your heart is. Big numbers are great. Don't get me wrong, right? They bring the money in. But at the same time, it feels like you're really just trying to help people cross that bridge so that they can then fill parts of their lives that they want to without the hurdle of technology being the barrier to all of that. Do I about have that right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, yes, we need to earn our livings,
Sure.
definitely. But on the other hand, I think this is definitely my passion. Helping people to start their online business, their online content creation makes me happy.
Yeah.
And I also have a perfect example at home. My wife starts now, and I help her where I can. I explain Canva to her, how to use things, and how to use the different tools. And I know exactly that at some point she will probably need to use eCam as well.
Mhm.
So that's something where we have something in common as well. And because she's not so technology savvy, it's it's a perfect example for me to learn how to be patient enough to explain it over and over again until it sinks in. And that's not meant to be mean or so. It's just how things are. She's a open heart person with a lot of energy to give, but technology isn't her thing, and she needs to learn that right now. And that's something I'm happy to give to others as well. So that's what my channel is about, and that's what my Silver Streamer Academy, which is probably launching in about 6 months from now, will be about. Yeah, that will be a bigger program, and something where people can really work on.
I love that you're building that all out. Where can everybody find this? Is it silverstreamer.live?
Yes.
Perfect.
It's silverstreamer.live for the website. It's silverstreamer.substack.com, where I'm also available. And then find me on Facebook as Jörg Kampers, and in the eCam fam and so on, I'm present over there.
It's amazing how much you give back to the community, and I love the fact that you're expanding it even further, and you've got this whole European takeover thing that you've got going. I love this. That whole family, you and Adrian and Neil, and it's a nice little community that's really starting to grow, and I love seeing you as part of that family. It's been an amazing hour speaking with you. I appreciate your time so much. Thank you for being here. I'm sure we will catch up soon in one of the office hours. And hopefully we'll get a chance to sit down face to face. I don't know if you're coming to Creator Camp in October, or if I get a chance to come over to Europe and attend one of the UK Creator Camps or something over there. Maybe I'll get a chance to sit down with you in person, and we can share a drink.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to. And thanks for having me. It was a great pleasure to talk to you, and I enjoyed our conversation a lot.
Great.
Thanks a lot.
Hang here 1 second, and thanks, guys. Again, follow Jörg on silverstreamer.live. Follow him on Generator. You can watch the whole episode here on YouTube. But thank you so much. I will see you soon.